Hey friends, welcome to 1 Minute with Monée, a podcast where we help busy adults live life with balance and harmony 1 minute at a time. Before we get into our discussion, let's listen in to our quick tip for the week. Hey friends, today's 1 Minute with Monée is super simple. Put it on the calendar. That's it. Put it on the calendar. Find a method that works best for you, whether it's an app or a physical calendar, and get to work. So remember to put all of your important dates on there, whether it's an anniversary, a party, any milestones, any reminders, any appointments, any meetings. Put them all on the calendar. And to take it a step further, put a reminder and set your reminders for those calendar appointments. For instance, if it's going to take you 30 minutes to get to an appointment, build in that travel time and put that on the calendar. If you need to buy a gift, there's an anniversary coming up. Maybe put a reminder a month out so that you can remember to buy that gift or plan that party or make the dinner reservation. So make it easy, maximize your time by using your calendar effectively, and don't leave anything out. Until next time, be well and be balanced. Thanks so much for tuning in again. Now we're going to dive a little bit deeper about calendaring and prioritizing, and I have my friend and the expert, the queen of prioritizing, of calendaring and planning, my friend Libryia Jones here with me today. And I'm no expert. I actually don't do a very good job of my day-to-day planning. There are small things that I do, which I've shared with you in my post, but there are ways that I think I can improve and do better. And so that is the reason why I invited Libryia here today to share what she does, her tips and tricks, and see what we can glean from her. Now, hey, how you doing, girl?
I'm good. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Cannot complain. The year is off to a great start, so I'm grateful.
Yay. Hey, I'm happy to hear that.
Yep. So, you are a very good girlfriend of mine. Tell people who you are and how we met.
I am Libryia Jones. Monée and I met, funny enough, we went to the same college, didn't know each other in college. And then I randomly started stalking her on LinkedIn because she had the background that I wanted. I always tell people you should network on LinkedIn. You should find people that have the career path that you wanted. So she had the career path I wanted. So I started stalking her on LinkedIn. And then we ended up in the same van on safari in Kenya.
Yep.
That's where we met, right? And you met in van number 2.
Van 2. We got some stories for van 2 from van 2.
Yeah, we got some stories from van 2. And so it's it was such an amazing experience. I don't know about you, but it was no, it wasn't your first time. It was my first time in Africa, period.
It was my second time in Kenya.
Yeah, I remember it being your second time. I remember you telling us a little bit about the safari stuff, but it was my first experience. It was such an incredible experience, aside from like the tea from the van.
Yeah, we'll have to do another episode just about.
It's a really cool experience, and I'm so glad I got to meet you, and I'm so glad we've been able to maintain our friendship since then. It's been a while. That was what, 2014, 13?
It was 2015 because it was 10 years after my first trip to Kenya. I'd gone the first time on a medical mission trip in 2005. And so it was kind of a, nice anniversary trip for me to go back to Kenya.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, very long time ago. So I always love to hear this story. And the reason why is because I had no idea you were stalking me. And I'm super humble. I'm humbled by that because I don't really think I am, or at the time didn't really think I was someone who anybody needed to look up to in that project management space. But what I've learned from that experience and from you telling that story is that when you have someone, you never know who's watching. Mm-hmm. And you never know who's looking, and you never know how you can inspire someone else, right? Yeah. So when you are putting yourself out there, when you're doing a great job, whoever is the person that's following you or stalking you, as you say, they can 10x whatever inspiration that you've given them. So you may not think you're inspiring, but whatever little nuggets that they can glean from you, they then take that seed and it blossoms into something else. And I can't take credit for all your success, but I have a little bit of inspiration.
It was definitely a great roadmap, especially as someone who My parents are excellent role models, for sure. But I'm the first college graduate in my family, so I don't have a whole lot of people in my family to look at to see how am I supposed to, what kind of education, what kind of degree should I have, what should my career trajectory be.
Mhm.
And so I've had to look at friends and peers and, people that were in school maybe 1 or 2 years ahead of me. And I love that I went to FAMU because I have so many of those people that are
Exactly.
easily accessible. Like I don't even remember how I landed on your LinkedIn, but I was like, this is the exact career path I want. And it's pretty much the career path I followed.
Mhm. You've done an amazing job.
Thank you.
You've done
Thank
an
you.
amazing job, and have actually inspired me, and continue to do so with the things that you post and the emails that I get every week from you. So you'll have to tell people at the end of the call how we can get on your mailing list and get in touch. So tell me a little bit about just your background in general. I know we've kind of alluded to the project management piece, but I think you've done so much more, and your story is so much bigger than just being a project manager. So please share your background and all the businesses that you've had, the initiatives, the businesses, the maybe
That
not
I've
all of
had,
them, but the ones that I think are that come to
that I've
mind.
had.
Maybe not ever, but
Yeah.
the ones that are huge. So I'm thinking about the mom's travel group,
Oh
your year
yeah.
abroad, your
Oh
what you're
man.
doing now, quick commuting. So those are the things that I know about. So there might be some things that I might not know. So I'm here to listen and learn, but would love for everyone else to understand what it is that you do and have done.
Okay, have done. So there's been so many iterations of my life and my career in the past, I'd say 20 years. And I am planning for even more iterations over the next 20 as well. But so let's back up maybe almost 10 years ago. I took a group of people around the world for an entire year. I started a company called My Wander Year. We changed the name to Wanderous Life because we wanted to expand beyond just a year of travel and started doing 1 month stuff, 1 month trips as well. Um, but yeah, in 2016, I took my daughter and a whole group of people to stay in 4 countries for 3 months at a time. Around the same time that I launched that, I also launched a community for moms who literally want to give their kids the world. So we had, I think, 25,000 moms in that community that ranged anywhere from looking and wanting to start traveling with their children, were early in their journey of starting to travel, all the way up to people who were slow traveling with their kids indefinitely or had moved out of the country. And we would host trips with and without the kids. With and
Mhm.
without the
Those
kids.
are
So
important.
we hosted some of my favorite trips have actually included families. So I hosted a Thanksgiving trip in South Africa. Amazing time with the families, 13 families, I think 40 people total. And then we did an annual Mother's Day trip, no kids allowed, because we don't mom on Mother's Day. So that was one chapter. The chapter that I'm in now is I transitioned into launching a company called Quick Commuting, which is a community and course that helps people find and land remote work. And I've been doing that for since it kind of started around the same, like when I got back from my year abroad in 2017.
Mhm.
I also have a real estate. I own real estate, so I'm a real estate investor as well. I have a short-term rental and a long-term rental, and I am trying to purchase my next short or long-term rental. I also am a content creator. So I have a personal brand, Libryia Jones, LLC. And under that brand, I do Instagram content, YouTube content, brand partnerships, and things like that. And then the last piece, I think, is consulting. So I also do, I have a vast background as a project manager and and operations and process improvement. And so
Mhm.
I am now doing fractional chief operating officer work for small businesses as well.
That is
It's a lot of
amazing.
things.
You are, yes, you are a
I
woman
want
of many
myself out
talents.
saying that. Oh, girl.
Yes, I mean, like, pat yourself on the back, give yourself a hand, because you
Or take myself to a therapist. I don't know.
I hope you're getting some rest through all these
Yeah,
places and
I
things,
am.
and
Thank you for
well,
asking.
that's good, no problem. So I know during some of this time, and perhaps even throughout all of the things that you just explained, you also held some corporate positions. And can you tell us how you balance not only everything that you just mentioned in the within what you've just described, but then on top of that, you at sometimes had a corporate job as well. What did you do to balance all of that?
I did have a corporate job for a very long time, just until September of this year. Um, yeah, of last year. September of this year has not come yet. It's gonna take a minute. It's gonna take a minute.
All good.
It's gonna take a minute for us to get used to the fact that we're in a whole new year.
Oh,
But I did have a corporate job until September of last year. And one of the things that I noticed about myself is I am just a person who likes doing multiple things.
mhm.
I'm very much a multi-passionate person. I'm very much a person that gets fulfillment from creating things on my own. Um, outside of my day job. And don't get me wrong, I really did like my day job a lot as well,
Yeah.
for the most part. And the question about balance is always interesting because I don't believe on a day-to-day basis there is any such thing as balance. Every day, there are things that we are doing well at and things that we are doing terrible at every single day. Because every choice that we make to spend our time, every place that we decide to focus our time and attention represents another place that we can't spend it. We can't spend it all on everything. It's just like having $100, right? You can you can spend that $100 or even $1. Let's just say $1.
Yeah.
If you buy a candy bar with that dollar, that means that you can't buy a bottle of water with it, right? And so, or if someone sold a fraction of a candy bar and a sip of water, maybe you could have a little bit of both.
Right.
But you're never going to be able to get 100% on everything. And so I think when we start thinking about balance, I think we've got to kind of look holistically from maybe a longer term period, right? So over the course of the week, over the course of the month, or over the course of the quarter, do we feel like we are paying attention to the things that really need our attention and need to be prioritized? And are we giving ourselves the space to make the adjustments throughout?
Mhm.
Are we being flexible enough to make adjustments? Because sometimes my job has to take priority. Sometimes my daughter needs to take priority. And sometimes I need to take priority.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
we've got to be attuned or in tune with when those times are. We've got to make time for that. And we have to make the adjustments when they come. It can't always be about work. It can't always be about your kids. And it definitely can't always be about you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I like to say that I want to live a life of harmony. And I say that actually on the tagline for this podcast. Because to your point, you may not be able to achieve 100% balance, although I do also in my tagline talk about being balanced. But when I think of harmony, I think about how everything is working together,
Mhm.
well. So when you go to the orchestra and you hear the harmony of all the instruments coming together, they're each doing their job and they're coming together to make this beautiful music. So my vision for my life is that everybody is pleased. I'm making I'm making music. And like you said, when somebody I have to say no to someone, I have to be okay with that because it's not
Yeah.
time for them to show up at my orchestra. But then if my full-time job needs me, I need to focus there. If my children need me, I need to focus there. If my husband needs something, then I need to change that. So
Yeah.
when things are working well together and we're living in harmony, there's nothing else I can ask for. And so I think
Yeah.
it's really important that we proactively think about those things and how each of the priorities in our lives and the things that we want for our lives, they come together to make that beautiful music,
Mhm.
so that we are living in a bit of harmony.
I love that analogy, especially because when you think about an orchestra, sometimes the music swells and sometimes it's low,
Mhm.
right? So sometimes maybe the winds instruments are playing higher and sometimes, the string instruments are. And sometimes there's a solo,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes there's a solo. And maybe the
Sometimes.
solo is like everybody can sit down. It's just me, right?
Exactly, I love
And
it.
so, yeah, I do love that analogy. And I just think that as a Libra, I am always striving for balance for sure. But I think for me, the approach to that is just, I mean, really paying attention and being self aware, but also being very hyper aware of um, the priorities around me and where I need to make adjustments, right? So if you're the what do you call this person? Conductor.
Conductor?
You're the
Mhm.
conductor.
Yep.
You need to decide when you hear the music, well, it's the music is weaker over here. We need to bring it up. We need to
Yep.
bring up the winds. And so, yeah, I think it's just a matter of constantly paying attention to what needs to be reprioritized and making the adjustments.
Right, absolutely. Now, given the work that you've done and the goals that you set for yourself, there has to be a process that you've stuck to. um, so, how have you made your big goals a reality? How do you stay motivated? What are the things that have helped you get to where you are today?
I want to be very transparent about the fact that I don't reach all of my goals.
Mhm.
I do set very aggressive goals for myself. Um, but I think the ones that are most important to me, the ones that really matter, and the key is the ones that I have systems for are the ones that I always hit.
Okay.
The ones that I have a system in place for are the ones that I typically am like, check the box on that. And I think a few things are key when it comes to like, let's hit these goals.
Mhm.
I think one of those things is when you're setting the goal, ensuring that it is something you actually want. And I know that sounds crazy because, like, who's setting goals they don't want? You, me, we,
Mhm.
right? We say we want this thing, but our actions show we don't actually want it. And sometimes those goals are things we think we should be doing. I think I should be doing this. Or things that a version of us from years ago wanted, but this version of us doesn't necessarily want that anymore. Or something that we've seen someone else do and we're like, oh, you know what? I think I kind of want to do that too because you saw somebody else do it. So we're RSVPing to someone else's thing. And so I think it's important to do that kind of self-reflection at the end of the year, at the middle of the year, at honestly any time and decide, is this still something I really, really want? And I try to be honest with myself about that. There have definitely been things that I've taken off of my goal list because I'm like, my actions don't show that I am ready to prioritize this. For years, I wanted to learn Spanish and be fluent in Spanish. And for years, I was like, I think in last year before last, I was like, I'm not actually being serious about this. I'm just going to take it off my list.
Mhm.
I'm just going to take it off my goal list. And then I brought it back at the end of last year. I was like, I'm ready to be serious. I signed up for classes. I bought a book. I scheduled time. And so I think being very clear about what is truly a goal that you really want to accomplish. But I think what keeps me motivated, and the thing I'll say about motivation is I think a lot of times that word gets thrown around in the productivity space as if it's a personality trait. It's something that people have or something they can go and get.
Mhm.
And all of us, our motivation goes up and down, right? It just depends on how tired we are, what kind of mood we're in, and
Yeah.
things like that. And so I think that that's when things like systems come into place for me, because those are the things that stick when the motivation isn't there. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yes, it
So
does.
a couple of examples of some systems are things like removing friction from your process. So if you want to go to the gym every morning when you wake up, you've heard this before. I'm not going to say anything groundbreaking. Set your clothes out the night before.
Yeah.
I actually started setting my clothes out for the whole week on Sunday for a few reasons. One, I know that if I wake up and I have to go find my socks and my sports bra, if I have to go find stuff, it's gonna
Yeah.
be like, never mind, don't get
Never
back in the bed.
mind.
Never mind.
We'll try again tomorrow.
Next time. Next time.
Next
I
time.
mean, the most minor inconvenience. It's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
So for one, even if I'm not motivated, it's already there. I may as well. And
Mhm.
for two, it makes me feel good when my past self looked out for me today.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, girl. High five.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that for you, girl.
Yeah.
Another one is I did this for my daughter. She didn't like getting out of the bed in the morning when it's cold. And so I got her a space heater and put it on a timer so that it's not cold in your room when you wake up.
Yeah.
So you don't have a problem getting out of bed. And so when people talk about systems, it may sound very complicated, but a lot of systems are very simple. These are just simple things that you're putting in place to help address whatever is the thing that's keeping you from doing whatever you're trying to get done.
Mhm.
And then I think the other system that a lot of people miss that that does not allow them to stay on track is doing a weekly review or a monthly review at the very least. Like sitting down with your goals and saying, how much progress have I made? Because we set these goals, we put them on a cute little vision board,
Yep.
and then that's it. But where's the plan? And then where's the progress? And so I have like a Sunday meeting with myself, right? You know how you have status meetings at work? I'm such a project manager.
Everything that you said, it's like, okay, there's that project manager coming out. You
I
are
was
true to who you
basically
are.
a project manager. But I have a weekly status meeting with myself where I sit down and I look at, so how did I do this week? Where am I? And I'm not just looking at like the boxes I checked on my tasks for the week. I'm looking back at my goals for the year and I'm saying, well, did I do anything towards these goals and the goals that are coming up? Because not every goal is like every single day or every single month. Some things are, I want to do this by March, right? If I'm going to do this by March, what do I need to be doing next week or next month, right? And that right there is key because it's not just visually, right? So I love the idea of vision boards because it's visual, but this is me interacting with my goals on a regular basis.
Yes. Put in the
And
work.
again, you said something earlier in your intro. You said, I'm not perfect. And that is the biggest thing. I am not perfect either. And I miss my weekly review sometimes. I probably miss one a month. On average, one a month. Sometimes two. Depends on what we doing.
Right.
Depends on, if I'm in these, streets. But it's the good thing about having a system is that when you fall off, you can fall right back on.
Exactly.
You will hop right back on because you already have this process in place. It's not like, oh, I missed my weekly meeting with myself, throw my hands up, move away. It's, oh man, I got off schedule. Let me get back onto this. But I think honestly, major key for me is consistently interacting with my goals and seeing where I'm in progress.
Yeah, I love that. And I wrote down a few gems here myself. So thank you for the tips. But the common theme, I think, around what you just described is about self-awareness and self-reflection. So if I know what I'm not good at, I need to put some things in place in my system in order to kind of make sure that I get what I need to get done, finished or done, or even started if I want to start going to the gym. But then, let's reflect on that. So what did I do well? What can I do better next week? And then finally, give yourself some grace because you may not have achieved what you wanted to. Maybe you only went to the gym once in that week and you wanted to go 3. So that's okay. Give yourself some grace. And what can you do better next week to make sure that you hit your goal? So I really love that. And I think what people should be able to appreciate is being honest with themselves, doing that self-reflection, having that self-awareness of who they are and what they can and can't do. But then once you reflect on that, putting those systems in place to make some things happen. So
agreed.
Agreed so much. Specifically, and I've seen the calendar, I've seen the videos. Show us, tell the audience what is your process for planning on a weekly basis, and not only planning but also pivoting. If there's something that you can't achieve for that week, even though you've written it down, how do you decide when to pivot or to adjust during the week? Or do you only do that during your self-reflection time at the end of the week or your weekly review time period? Tell us a little bit more about the specific process for your weekly planning.
It's so funny you asked that question. I have a whole video about that coming out on my YouTube channel.
We will share.
I have a whole plan my week with me video coming out. My weekly planning starts with the weekly review, right? Like I can't plan unless I know what I've done already, right? So that reviewing is the very first part of planning for me. And so that's looking back at the week, seeing what I got done, what I didn't get done. And then I'm going through my list in my head. I actually have an actual agenda for this meeting with myself.
Don't be ashamed. Talk about the agenda. Let's hear it.
I have Virgo tendencies, man. I like to check a box. I like a list.
Same, and I am a Virgo.
Huh?
I said same, and I am a Virgo.
See? My birthday is like right after Virgo. So it starts with a reflection. It starts with, looking back over the week and seeing what got accomplished and what didn't. And then my plan for the week forward then goes into, well, let me look at my higher level goals, annual goals. What's coming up? What did I put on this annual list that I need to get done in the next quarter or month, right? Because there are some things like, let's say your goal is to uh write an essay or something, right? I want to have a published peer-reviewed article by the end of March. Well, you don't wait till you get to March to do that. It is the third week in January right now. I need to be working on that right now. And so I think it's important. That's why I think it's important to keep your annual goals at the forefront, even when you're doing a weekly plan or a monthly plan, so that you are preparing yourself for the things that you said you were going to do. So then it's looking at the annual larger goals, annual goals. And then I look at, what did I say I was going to do this month? Um, and then I look at the things that I didn't complete last week and decide, like, do I still need to do this? Does this still need to get done? If it needs to get done, it will just roll over to the week. If not, one of the things I've gotten really, really good at is not really, really good at. One of the things I'm getting better at is accepting that everything on my to-do list doesn't have to get done. Like some of the things I am just piling onto my to-do list.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times we put pressure on ourselves to produce and to get stuff done. I'm very addicted to productivity.
Yeah.
And so I can definitely add things to my to-do list that I'm in the grand scheme of things, I'm telling myself, girl, who told you had to do that? Literally, who? Oh, it was you. Guess what? You could tell yourself that you don't have to do that now too. Or if it's like, I'm going to do something for my daughter. Like I'll have stuff on my to-do list. And I'm like, why am I doing this? She's an adult.
Right.
Let me delegate this.
Yeah.
And speaking of delegation, there have been things where I'm like, hey, Zion, can you do this for me? Right. And so anyway, it's going through the task list and figuring out what things I need to get done for the week. And honestly, I tell project managers this all the time when I'm mentoring project managers. The magic of a project manager is not that you keep up with status reports and that you email people to see if they got their work done. The magic of being a project manager is that you are probably the only person in the room looking forward and preparing for what's coming, right? That is the magic. The magic is like people think we have a magic 8-ball. And that's not it. We're literally just sitting down, looking at project plans and looking at calendars and saying, well, today is January 15th. On January 30th, XYZ is going to happen. So we need to do XYZ before that day. Right. And so during that weekly meeting, I'm looking at my week and I'm saying, okay, well, what's going on this week? What do I need to move around? For example, I had a flight when did I fly to Atlanta? My flight was in the middle of the day. I normally go to the gym in the middle of the day. So now I know that on Tuesday, I cannot go to the gym on the middle of the day. I need to go ahead and plan now to go to the gym that morning. Right. So I'm looking ahead and saying, well, where do I need to go ahead and start tweaking? Because one thing I can't stand, I hate when this happens to me, is when you get in a day and realize, oh crap, I need to switch my day around. Or, oh man, I'm not going to be able to do XYZ. When if you had just taken the time, and this takes me maybe like a review and planning for the week, maybe an hour.
Okay.
And I do it while I do my little DIY facial. Self-care Sunday, guys.
Hey.
So I'm habit stacking while I'm doing that. But I really like feeling prepared by taking the time to say, well, what is going on this week and how do I need to make adjustments? For example, I have a coaching call on Wednesday nights. I normally like to do an afternoon activity like 6. So Wednesday night, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do the afternoon activity. I'm going to have to maybe move it up to the afternoon. Right. So I think for me, weekly planning has been just about looking at the past week, keeping the higher level goals in mind, and then looking at the week ahead to be prepared and make adjustments up front.
Right. I love that for a few reasons. One, I talked a lot about accountability in last week's podcast, and what you just described allows you to be accountable. So we love a good vision board. We will do it digitally. We'll cut out some magazines and get that baby done, and it'll look really pretty on our wall. But how do you put the vision to action and be held accountable to it? And it's not so stringent. So when you talk about pressure, I love that because yes, we might have these huge goals and we want to work out 5 days a week. And last Friday was, what do they call it? That's when people fall off of their
National Quitters Day?
yes, National Quitters Day. I don't want to be a quitter.
No quitter?
I'm no quitter. But the way that we become accountable to the vision that we set is really keeping the vision front of mind. And I love that this weekly plan allows you to do that, but then takes the pressure off and you're giving yourself some grace. So if you do fall off, you just pivot, you make some adjustments to the next week, or you figure out what needs to be done so that you can reach your goal. What about celebrating wins? How do you celebrate yourself? And when you do accomplish a goal or even, reach a milestone, what are the things that you do to celebrate your wins?
Oh, I love this question and I'm excited to answer it. I want to hit on one thing you just said also. You said accountability, and you know what it made me think about? It made me think about self-care.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times, for so long we've talked about self-care as being going to therapy and spending time with your girlfriends and resting and doing facials and getting massages. Self-care is also you looking out for your future self. So like preparing something as small as preparing for the week ahead, that is you looking out for yourself. So that on Wednesday, you're not stressed out because you forgot that XYZ was happening because you didn't take the time to look at it. And accountability, self-accountability helps to build your trust in yourself and makes you feel like you're more reliable. And so I think a lot of times when we think about self-care, those things are absolutely self-care, but also keeping your word to yourself, holding yourself accountable, preparing yourself and looking out for your future self are also very serious methods of self-care that I'm heavily on in 2025. Heavily on.
You have mentioned so many little nuggets that I plan to have on my podcast, so I might have to have you back.
I'm down. Okay, now to answer your direct question, I'm a celebrate wins type of girl. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I don't care how small it is or how big it is. I love to celebrate a win.
Yeah.
And fun fact, when I write down my goals, I also write down what I'm going to do to reward myself or celebrate when I hit that goal. And it could be something, as big as like, I'm going to buy myself a designer bag. I have not done that. I be talking junk. I don't care about designer bags.
Same.
I don't know why. I don't even know why I said that. But one goal it was, I'm going to buy myself a really nice bottle of bourbon. Now that I did too. Absolutely did. But it could also be something small that doesn't cost money. It could be, I'm going to FaceTime one of my friends and have like a little virtual dance party. Right? So it could be something really, really small. Like I'm about to hit up the group chat and be like, y'all, guess what I just did? Or send a screenshot or something. And so when I think about my goals, I already think of like, when I'm writing it down, I write down, why do I think I can reach this goal? When do I want to hit it? What do I think I need to do? Or who do I need to connect with to hit it? And then the last thing I answer, what my desired outcome for the goal is. And the last thing I say is, how am I going to reward myself? Like, how am I going to celebrate? I think it's important, especially if you are a person that's constantly producing and constantly achieving things and moving on to the next thing. If you look back, if you just stop for a moment and look back, you have stepped over so many goals, so many achievements, and so many wins, and so many things that you could have celebrated yourself for. You deserve to celebrate yourself, especially because most of the people that miss those things are the people that celebrate everybody else, right? They're the folks that celebrate everybody else. And one thing I want to say to anybody listening to this who post their accomplishments or the things they're excited about on social media, I want you to stop saying, I know it doesn't seem like much, or I know it doesn't seem like a lot, or we don't need qualifiers.
Right. No more self-limiting conversation.
Yeah. Because what are we comparing this to? I know it doesn't seem like a lot. To whom?
Right.
To who? What are we talking about? We're not adding qualifiers in 2025. Just be excited. Your excitement is enough. Your excitement is more than enough for me. I don't need to qualify it. If you're excited, guess what? I'm excited too.
I'm excited too. Exactly.
Somebody posted they got 3 new followers on YouTube the other day. And I was like, go ahead.
Right.
Come on, new followers. That's 3 new people that don't know you that are watching your videos. It's awesome.
Yeah. Amazing.
So yes, let's in 2025, when we're celebrating our wins, let's not add qualifiers to them, please.
All right, another gem. There we go. And make sure you invite me to your next celebratory dance party, please. And have people around you. What I love about that is that there's people around you who will celebrate with you, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
So get you
Every
some
girl needs a good
friends.
group chat too, man.
Yes, for
Every girl
sure.
needs a good group chat.
For sure. For sure. Well, tell us a little bit about what you're up to today. How can we find you, support you, listen to your words of wisdom, all these nuggets? We need to get more on the regular basis.
Why you got me blushing so hard? Stop it. First of all, you guys watching this podcast, make sure you stick around because Monée be dropping gems too. Listen. So Monée, you hosted a session in Quit Commuting in my community
I
about
did.
balancing work and running a business.
Mhm.
And I happened to get the chance to sit in on it, or did I rewatch it? I think I sat in on it.
You were there.
I was like, dang, this is good. I was like, wait a minute.
We'll have to repost that and share the
good.
links. Yes. There's so many links we have to share for this episode, and that will be one of them.
Okay, excellent. All that to say, what am I up to these days? I am still running Quit Commuting. So the community is still active and still live. I am actually hosting a small 6-week coaching group, like a deep focused coaching group in that community where we're working really, really hard on helping people who specifically want to leave the US. And so they are looking for work opportunities that can support them financially while they expatriate from the US. I am also in Atlanta right now to do a branding shoot because it's time to update my website and all of my headshots and things like that, because I'm really going to be leaning in heavily to pitching brands this year. So last year I made a little money off of brand partnerships.
Hey.
But what's funny is like none of them I pitched. None of them.
Really?
Not one. I pitched one brand.
That's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you. I pitched one brand that I got that I actually signed a contract with, and it was like my lowest dollar amount the whole year. All the real money I made came from brands that came to me, and so I'm going to actually do some pitching this year. I have a friend that's going to help me out with that, so that's what I'm working on. I'm also really leaning heavily into YouTube. So my goal this year is to post 100 YouTube videos this year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that works out to a little under 2 a week. So it's 2 a week technically, with like grace for 4. Like, so I took 4 of them off. It's like, there might be a week or 2 I can't do it.
Just in case. Just in case. You are absolutely putting your gems to action. So love that. Yeah. Anything else? What are your handles?
Yes, I am headed to Vietnam. I'm headed to Vietnam for like a month and a half.
Okay. A month and a half? Wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me not gloss over that. We're going to Vietnam for a month and a half. What are you going to be doing in Vietnam, and how did this trip come up?
Chilling. I will be chilling and living my life. One of my dreams and goals has always been, when my daughter graduated high school, to just slow travel and just be wherever I wanted to be. And it's funny because I've actually been doing that since 2023, just mainly in the US. I've been nomadic since 2023. I put my house up for rent in April of 2023. And I've just kind of been bouncing around and traveling here and there. But I need to be stationary for a month. I am going to Vietnam to visit my friend's family. I was there for her wedding in 2020. Right before the world shut down. I was there for her wedding, and this time frame is Lunar New Year is coming up on January 29th. And so I'm really excited to go back and hang out with her family. And I've always wanted to spend at least a month in Vietnam. And so after one of my friends is going with me, and after she leaves, I'm just going to post up for all of February. And that is the plan. That's the plan. I may come back early. We'll see.
Okay. Well, hey, you have that flexibility to do whatever your heart desires, but that sounds like an amazing adventure. Can't wait to see all the things that you do.
I can't wait to share. I cannot wait to share. If anybody wants to come kick it with your girl, let me know. If anybody's going to be in Vietnam.
Hey, I might go up on that. Right. Let me go to Google Flights right quick.
Hey, look, she's laughing, but like I am at risk of Monée showing up in Vietnam. And I'm down for that. Come through.
You might see me. We'll talk. So what are your handles on social media?
I'm Libryia Jones everywhere. So on Instagram, on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok if it's still around in 3 days.
Oh, it's on now. I think we're all waiting to see what happens.
Yeah. So I'm Libryia Jones on every platform.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time. Your energy is always a blessing to receive. So it's been great to have you here. I hope that your trip goes well and that all the success, all your goals that you have, that they come to fruition, especially with the gems that you dropped with us today. So thanks for joining.
Thank you. Ditto. Ditto to you and ditto to anybody watching. I hope you achieve every single goal that you really want this year.
Absolutely. All right. To our audience, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you for joining me this week. Let's continue the conversation on social media at 1 Minute with Monée on all channels. Also, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform.